From the Detroit Free Press, I'm Robin Chan with today's Voice Briefing. It's Friday, June 6th, 2025.
I'm Paul Egan reporting for the Detroit Free Press. County prosecutors in Michigan are pushing back against a recent Michigan State Police policy, one that would take certain investigations related to MSP troopers out of their hands. In November, Colonel James Grady, who directs the state police, issued the order. It tells his investigators to send cases involving shots fired or other use of deadly force by MSP personnel to the state attorney general, not to the local prosecutor, who typically handles such cases. Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy described the change as insulting. She said it's an overstep by Grady and it amounts to forum shopping. Kent County Prosecutor Chris Becker, who is president-elect of the Prosecuting Attorneys Association of Michigan, has a similar view. Why, he asked, should the state police be allowed to select their own prosecutor? Grady said through a spokeswoman the change is intended to ensure consistent handling of such cases. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel is also supportive.
This is Christina Hall with the Detroit Free Press. Officials in a suburban Detroit community denied a special use permit for an electrical transmission line to power Henry Ford Macomb Hospital, a decision applauded by nearby condo residents who would live near the proposed towers, and one that could generate lawsuits by the utility company and health system. ITC, the utility company, also could take the matter to the Michigan Public Service Commission. The company is reviewing its options, as representatives said the denial this week by the Clinton Township Board of Trustees postpones the hospital's ability to have its own power by connecting to a substation on its property for 18 to 24 months, if not longer. The hospital, located in Clinton Township, currently is operating at a lower level of power service than needed, forcing it to switch to emergency generator power during energy interruptions, according to the health system. It has to rely on backup power, quote, from time to time. The board conducted its own research on the years-long issue and indicated the preferred route for the project would be on Dalcoma Drive, a north-south road that connects 19 Mile and Hall Roads. The proposed route the board was voting on was along 19 Mile. It would have been 10 structures from 85 to 105 feet tall, with some of the structures within 50 feet of residences. In an April letter to the board, the health system indicated an emergency backup generator, when used during power interruptions, supports only the most critical areas of the hospital, while much of the operations go without electricity. That could disrupt patient care, it indicated, as well as rescheduling elective or non-emergent outpatient surgeries during an energy interruption. The letter did not provide details on how often backup power has been used.
Hey there, everybody. This is Omari Seko for the second Pistons beat writer for the Detroit Free Press. On this week's episode of our podcast, The Pistons Post, Bryce Simon and I did an off-season preview with names the Pistons could pursue in free agency and the trade market. Here's a quick snippet of our conversation.
I think we both land on what we would do is essentially run this back in some capacity. I think we would agree that if there was a small upgrade, like if you could work Nickeil Alexander-Walker, upgrade over Tim Hardaway Jr., we'll get into those specific names. But so we both would land on that. We're essentially running this back. I think Keith Black Trudeau kind of talked me into this a little bit in terms of whenever I brought up the fear of truly running it back and the continuity almost being a negative because does it get stale? Reminding me that we have not seen this team truly play together with Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris, etc. And so I would be willing to see that. So I think we both land in the same spot in terms of what we would do.
It kind of echoes something Trajan Lagan said at the trade deadline, which I think could still apply this summer. It's just this group has earned the right to compete. We added Schroeder because they earned the right to compete. You went 44 games to make the leap you just had, and you assume that your young guys are going to continue to get better, then that's kind of the same thinking, right? Has this team just earned the right to run it back? And then of course, and we'll talk about this later, but you get vets on, deals that are probably more movable than you have now, and that gives you more flexibility going forward. There's a lot, I think, that you solve by just running it back. But again, the Pandora's box of cap space and free agency may also be worthwhile depending on who's there, right? You can hear that full conversation in this week's episode of The Pistons Post, which is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, you can find our latest coverage on freep.com/sports.
Find more from the Detroit Free Press on freep.com. That's FREEP.com. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend, and you'll hear more from us Monday.